Is there such a thing as a bad employee? Yes, there is. Is there such a thing as an employee that's just a bad fit for your company? And the answer is yes, there is. How do you know if you have a bad employee or someone that's just a bad fit for your company? Well, that's a little trickier. And the good news is I've got some help here that I'm going to share with you to better make a decision about which one that it is. But I must let you know that until you have documented systems and ways to train people and orient them and hire them, and you're always going to be at risk for having bad employees or bad fits to your company. So the more systematic you are, the better it is. The other thing is the only fair way for an employee to be able to be judged on objective things versus subjective. So the better you are at having documented things, that's going to make a big difference, because goal here is they should be able to fill whatever box that you put them on in the org chart based on your ability to provide documented systems. More than that, you also need to have them associated with this an orientation process. So you recruited them, you did a good job, you hired them, you hopefully did some testing. Now how do you get them up to speed? And the answer in this third step is orienting them with an orientation process that gets them up to speed and effectiveness. Again, it relies heavily on documented systems and training. This, coupled with that never-ending training, it allows an employee the ability to, step up in a good way at your company and become a great employee at your company. The tough news here is always this: the responsibility for their either being great or poor or bad, a bad employee, is always on you. You need to engage the staffing power of things to minimize, because you can never eliminate, the chances of having to deal with this bad employee or just a bad fit to your company. So here's a brief overview of the 5 steps to staffing power. Recruiting, which just means casting a big net. The bigger the net, the more you can hire out there, the better it is. Now, as far as recruiting, because labor markets get tight, the better you have the ability to improve people's skills, you can hire more on willingness, and that allows you to get more people. Willingness, and you'll provide the skills. This way you can do a better job of screening them and being more selective. And one consulting client told me years ago, after we had worked for a while together, he said, I finally get it. And I said, well, what do you get? He goes, if you want a great apple pie, you ought to shop for great apples. And that makes a deal of sense here. Number 2 in this process is hiring. If you're growing, and you should be, you'll always need to be proactively hiring so you don't avoid being in a tough spot. We used to call it the mirror test because we were desperate. Breathe in the mirror, you get hired. So we want to stay out of that. And the thing that happens in the hiring process is we're so anxious at this point. We talk, and we never ask them to do any talking. The goal, like all sales, is to make them talk to you. See if they have good questions about the position and the company. Well, today, anybody who shows up for a practice, if they haven't been online to your website and don't have good questions, that would be a little bit of a red light flashing. And absolutely have both a written test and a hands-on skills test. This is not just for techs, it's people in the office. Because in an interview, I'm going to tell you that I'm great at QuickBooks, and you'll never know until too late when you go ahead and hire. Number 3 is orienting. Because I know it's tempting to shortcut because you're desperate at this point, but don't do that. If you do, you'll do it at your own peril, and it's really costly. There's only one chance to get them really good and get them on board and get them successful, and make sure that they feel good about having joined your company. It's also a good chance for them to feel a part of the family, which is no small thing. Because wherever it is, it's always scary. Think about when you graduated from the next school to the next school to the next school. It's easy to feel like a fish out of water. And the sooner you get them blending and fitting in with the family and being successful in the box they're occupying, the better it is. Number 4 is training, and training never stops. Even if they're quote unquote experienced, that doesn't mean they do the work the way you want. So you have to train them on your work, your way. And it will always be evolving. So that means there's never an end to this. You have to train them on the skills to verify that they can do what they need to do to get really good, if not great, at your company and fill the box. Also, you need to provide them the necessary training so that they can move up the ladder. Because if you're really a great employer, You're promising a career, not just a job. Number 5 is a step we all skip. We think, well, they're on board. They must be good. And the answer is not necessarily. It's called retaining. And the way I like to think of it is if you have a bathtub full of employees, there's a drain wide open if you're not paying attention about it takes keeping them on board and not taking them for granted. They need to know why they do what they do for the customers, for the company, and for themselves. They need to know that every day they made the right choice coming to your company. And they need to know you're making good on your promises to provide them a career, not just a job. So if you have all of this, then it gets easier to determine if they're a bad employer or just a bad fit for your company. And if you don't, it'll be a lot harder. So let's get down to the things that need to be done. There are 5 ways to better identify a bad employee. They lie, they cheat, they steal. There's no second chance. They're out. Number 2, they blatantly violate your policies and procedures over and over again after they've been trained on it. Number 3, they create problems which pretty much all of the customers they interact with and all of the fellow employees attest to. Number 4, they are insubordinate to you, the owner or senior management, especially in front of others. Number 5, they continually miss the key performance indicators for whatever you've trained them on. So here are 5 ways to better identify them if they're just a bad fit at your company. Number 1, they are trained by you, but they still lack the capacity or the willingness to master the skills you trained them on. Honestly, sometimes it's because they've oversold themselves in the hiring process, and now it's all becoming apparent. Number 2 is they don't like things the way the company requires them to do it. The reason is they want to change things that better fit them. One example is they may not want to dress to your company standards. This is even after they knew that dressing to the company standards was non-negotiable. The primary reason they do things this way is they don't care enough that it's being done to better serve the customer and the company. Number 3 is they don't want to be available for things like overtime, as they prioritize other things, or worse, another job they may be working at. That doesn't make them bad people, it just makes them a bad fit at your company. Number 4, they are unwilling to help others in their work. They're also unhelpful when it comes to working as a group. In other words, they don't play well with others. And number 5 is they don't like the way you pay or your pay reward system, if you have one. And they don't see why they're not at a higher level, even though if you've told them how they have to move their way up the org chart. Even though they've not ascended that position, they feel they should get it. So if you really want to get good at this, and I bet you do, I've got some good news. More help is available on this topic down the road.